For me, it's also a basic life principle. You must be very resilient because you are going to face challenges. If you're building anything of value, you'll definitely face some friction. So I tell people at the very early stages to even get into maybe an acceleration or an incubation program, to get into one, you might need to apply to 20. One is you have to be deliberate, take some personal courses, really listen to yourself talking because as a founder, you do a lot of talking. You must be able to sell the vision. You are raising funds, you're engaging partners, right? So you must be, confident in what you're saying. Sometimes it's about the message, right, that you're trying to communicate. Your voice inflection, how you position your storytelling, how you engage also and carry along the audience, right? So those are things that you need to learn from books, YouTube videos, from courses over Udemy, Coursera. So let's assume that you have plastics or you have some carton in your house, or maybe you have a refrigerator that is bad or an AC stop working, and then you want to dispose of it. What you need to do is to go on WhatsApp. We have our bot number plus two.
Good morning. It's been a second since I had a podcast last, but I'm glad to tell you guys that I'm back, and I'm back with someone very special who is here to talk to us today about his business. His name is Boluwatife Arewa, and he is the founder of a recycling company that uses technology to help us recycle our waste. And the name of his company is Scrap Pays. And I'm happy to have you on the show today, Bolu.
Yeah, Bumi, it's a pleasure to speak with you once again. Even though this is over a podcast, yeah, and I'm very happy to be around today and to share a few things.
Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful that you took the time to honor the request to talk to us today about your business. So, without much further ado, let's begin. So maybe I should start by asking, what kind of materials do you recycle?
Okay, so the beautiful thing about what we do is that we are not limited to material types, right? And I think that's one of the unique innovation about it. As of today, we collect over 15 different material types, right? And as we have partnerships and organization or manufacturing partners that needs further or more material types, we can easily add them up to our system, and people can start collecting and you can recover such material types. So I like saying that we are material agnostic, right? We collect across different type of plastics. As of today, we collect across six different type of plastics, from your PET to PP to HDP to ABS, to LDP, to polystyrene, PS, and all of that, right? Then to metal, right? To copper, to brass, to aluminium. Within aluminium, we collect across about five different aluminium types. So really, for us, we are material agnostic, even down to your household materials, so things like your bad AC, bad refrigerator, name it, right? We are building an holistic system that allows us to, be able to collect across this very diverse material range. And maybe when we speak further, I can also speak to some, unique specifics.
Okay, and do you do the recycling yourself, or you are just an aggregator that helps to connect people that do recycling on a small scale to larger manufacturing or no recycling companies?
Okay, to explain what we do, so I'll move a bit backward to give context to this. We are more or less like an end-to-end infrastructure for the recycling value chain. Take note of that word, value chain, right? Because in Africa specifically, the recycling value chain is extremely broken. That is, it operates in silos, right? What do I mean by value chain? It starts from you who generates the waste, right? So in our own terms, we can call you a waste producer. And the waste producer could be individuals like yourself and myself, mom and pop shops selling provisions, or large enterprises like a fabrication company, right? That's where the waste is coming from, right? Then we have people referred to as aggregators. So these are people within the business, be it collector or somebody who stores it. So we can box those people under aggregators. That's the value chain going. And also the next person within that place are people referred to as processors, right? Processors are people who take that plastics, they crush it, that pet bottle, they bale it, that nylon, they extrude it, that carton, they bale it, or something like that. They do sorting and that. So these are people doing some sort of mini processing, right? Because logistics is a big component of recycling, right? Because you
Yeah.
can, if you move used pets over, let's say from maybe Ikeja or from maybe Ekpe to Bega, literally the cost of logistics might be more than the value of the item you're moving, right? So that's why it's required to be crushed, built, and so that you can move, larger volume, over a longer time. That's where processors, comes in, right? And then at the last edge of the value chain are people referred to as manufacturers. So these are these people that actually use this item as their own base raw material for production. Let me give context to this. So for most of the pets that are collected and recycled, they are used in producing, polyester fibers for textile production, right? Some of them, for metal now, they are used for production of construction rods, right? For carton, some of them carton to carton, some of them carton to paper, and what have you. So eventually, the guys who use this to actually produce a final produce are referred to as manufacturers within our own simple lingua franca, right? So I've tried to explain to you from the source of the waste down to the person that uses it. So what we've built is an
Yeah.
infrastructure, basically technology that allows you, for example, to get connected to the closest aggregator to you, just like you're ordering an Uber, right? And we've built a system that the aggregator could also use to manage inventory, get access to financing, get pricing, process collection, right? Also get them connected to a logistics, right? We also build a system for the processor who will crush, who will bale, who will do all of those things to be able to get access to resource, access to material, and also manage operations, right? And also then connect that processor down to a manufacturer. So basically, we work with every person along the value chain to ensure that there is a close knitting and we can effectively monitor operations and ensure that everybody within the value chain can make, and get value, efficiently from the, flow.
Wow, you are solving a very big problem. How long did it take you to get to where you are currently?
Okay, yeah, it's really a long time. Before I fully focused on this, we've been, doing market research, since late 2017 to, yeah, early 2017 thereabout, right? In fact, that time I was still in full time employment, right? I've lost so much money, trying to understand the actual value chain, speaking to the locals, in fact, giving them my own personal finance. Of course, you're going to lose over close to 90% of such finance. You already know that you're going to lose it before even giving it out. Just for what you're interested in at that point in time is to have a good grasp of how the value chain works, things that are working, things that can be scaled, things that needs to be, reworked, and all of that. Yeah.
Okay, so let me backtrack a bit. What made you interested in recycling at all? I know it's a theme that is now very popular, but it wasn't always
Okay.
popular, and it's not the
First things
most
always.
tidiest of jobs, So you must be
Yeah,
really
it's not
passionate
the
about the
it's not the
environment
most reward,
to want
but
to,
it's not the sexiest.
So what made you interested in it? Maybe start with your background and how you
Okay.
took off.
Oh, okay. So, by discipline, I'm a geoscientist. By love and passion, I'm also a technologist, right? So while I was in school, I was working with even though I was a geoscientist, I was, working and, engaging with Microsoft, Google, and the like, students, right? Student ambassadors, doing some project and the like. So, for me, right, from start, I studied, geoscience, right, which means things around soil, environmental waste and the likes. So, but just to then go a bit far back, I grew up in Ibadan, right? That's where and while very close to my dad's workshop, then we used to see all of these, what's it called? All of these people doing recycling, scrap metal, some of them working on plastic. So I seen them very closely then, right? looking at how they operate. Some of them, really struggle to work. Some of them are doing fairly fine, but you could see that somebody still does the same thing for donkey years, and there's no sense of very significant progress. Some of them even do business at loss and the likes. So because I see them, but I was quite not a bit of distance understanding of what they do, looking at them, just looking at what they do, right? But while I was in school, we were to do a project, and myself and my team then said, okay, it was around, okay, how could you curb? Sorry, I might be speaking some technical jargon at this point. How can you
It's
curb,
okay.
impact of environmental leachate into artisanal, water. The simple talk what I'm saying is when I say leachate, when you have waste being put on dump site and the likes, the effect of them sinking into our groundwater, right? You get groundwater from artisanal sources. Sorry, let me just stop there. But what I'm just saying is, you want to curb um, because of waste, from leachate as a result of waste sinking into groundwater. So what can you do? Right. And that's where initially then while I was even in uni, we called the name of the solution Pansi. Right. Pansi is a Yoruba word for waste, right? And the idea then was to ensure that okay, how can we effectively avoid, this waste from getting to landfills and ensuring that it doesn't affect, groundwater and ensure that people can, effectively, the environment is protected. Basically, just in line with our discipline then, right? And during that period, in fact, if I could remember, I think we won some sort of local university competition during the period about the solution elects. But of course, when we left uni, everybody just got synced into the corporate world. Myself and my current co-founder were doing other things and the likes. But yeah, because that we know that this thing beyond the maybe the commercial side, right? It also have deep impacts, right? And then I can remember early 2017 thereabout, and we just said, okay, let's visit this thing again. But at that point in time, this was beyond a school project. It was basically okay. We need to understand some of the things that we might not have contact with or call grabs. So remember then before they started construction of, I don't know if you know Agege, the new construction they did there. There used to be a railway part that you have so many of these guys there. So we'll go there, and discuss, with them, give some of them funds. Okay, one of the initial person we discussed with, his name is Elewe. I could still remember. That guy has been doing recycling for close to 20 something years, and he still lives in a mud house, right? And these are people that do, volume and, do a number of stuff, right? And it was from there learning them. In fact, it's one of the person we gave funds. Of course, till today we didn't get that money back, right? But it was just a learning, trying to introduce technology to them, looking at what works. Because really, it's not about technology; is just an enabler. We need to understand their processes, what is moving, what is not moving, and all of that. In fact, just to tell you, I know, I sure know that diverse class of person will be listening to it. Our current model that we're currently using is not what we started with, right? We pivoted. You learn, you unlearn. You think, okay, can this thing scale properly? What are the loopholes here? How can we ensure that the people, because at this point, like the people that are using, they're different from myself and yourself, right? And they
Yeah.
can that can must be as simple as possible, and that's why we have things like USSD. So our solution is over USSD also. Even without internet, they can access it. Or most of them, even if they don't use core deep tech that we use, most of them are on WhatsApp, right? So our solution also is over WhatsApp, right? Integrated over APIs and the like. So, and those are, from core learnings, on learning and, looking at things that can work and it can work. Let me stop there so I don't, take too much of your time for other things.
Okay, but let me ask you. So, what did you try to solve first? Getting the source of the waste, or getting the manufacturers who needed the waste? Which problem did you solve first? Because it's like a chicken and egg situation.
I tell people for free, and external investors also ask us this question. In fact, we cannot meet close to 5% of most of our manufacturers, which means, and I'm talking about local demands, not international demand that we have, that we are just saying, okay, can't meet local demand now, because the core of the problem is creating, a decentralized architecture for recovery, right? Which means we can't collect enough scrap metal for people that are going to use enough plastics. We have people from Europe, Asia, and the likes. About a few of them still were still with us Q4 of 2023, right? Because this, especially with the awareness around recycling, there are bonuses, there are plastic credit and all for companies that use these things, right? um Use is a cheaper source for polyester fiber production, right, compared to doing it from source. And so it's in terms of I know most, if you're not within the sector, you might not understand what I'm trying to say. The problem actually is not where that item is going. The problem is a structured and a well carved out system that allows for efficient recovery, and also a recovery that commercially makes sense. The unit economics must add up, right? Because
Commercially
that's
makes
what I
sense
was.
to who? Commercially makes
I
sense
mean,
to you and I, the common man, or to the person that wants to buy the scrap.
so okay, not to the person and not to you. I'm talking about this business architecture, because before now, recycling has been seen as quote and unquote a CSR project, right?
Yeah,
So, which then means that if some and anything that is not economically viable, that it cannot sustain itself, what is the unit economics does not add up,
yeah,
it can only take a while before that thing dies up. There must be a sense of sustainability within any business model, right?
yeah.
So, which then, and that's for me, it's a school of thought that I owed, very dearly, and that grants, or just subsidy cannot sustain an actual business, right? Within that business itself, within its model, the unit economics must make sense. That is, if you are selling something for 100 naira, your cost should not be more than, let's say, maybe 85 naira or 90 naira, so that you have something margin to, something like that. But before now, recycling has been seen as something that, okay, one maybe NBC, Coca Cola will just say, okay, take this money, and then it's not self-sustaining, right? And we needed to rethink how that would happen, right? And it's a school of thought that I hold dearly, to then say, and one of the key reasons why something like that, if it is not properly structured, might not be sustainable, is if you take plastics, a pet bottle, for example, I think at least the closest that everybody knows, right? And then take a full truck of that pet. A truck that is about 10 tons might not move more than maybe two tons of pet bottle, right? And you want to move that thing from, let's say, maybe a VI or maybe Lekki, down to the factory that is at, let's say, Moe. Just give an example. The cost for the logistics might be, let's say, maybe a 150,000, or sometimes, depending on how big the truck is, maybe a 200,000. By the time you move it along that long distance, and you're only moving less than a 2 ton, loose pet bottle, the actual payment for that pet bottle might almost be equal to the logistics. For not forgetting that you have people that are actually doing this business, that they also need to make money off it, that they ought to have a
Yeah.
margin. And logistics has literally taken maybe another 85% of the value of. So at the long run, it's in terms of the unique economics, it won't add up effectively, right? Or else we are not trying to do a business that scales, that actually have proper
Yeah.
structure, right? So that's why you have things like processors. So it then makes sense to take it to a processor who is just maybe about 5, 6, 10 kilometers away from the person, that instead of spending that 200,000, you're only spending, let's say, a 30,000 on logistics. So that this person then bail or crush this item. So a 10 ton truck can then move maybe about 8 or 9, or even a 10 ton worth of item, that then makes sense economically to move down to that manufacturer who is in Moe. I don't know, maybe my analogy tries to give context to what I'm trying to explain.
So you're saying a lot. So I want to go granular so that the audience can understand you properly. So let's start from the beginning. So even if you're trying to connect me, an ordinary person who produces waste to the nearest collector, for instance,
Okay.
how do you advertise? How do I know of your service? And how
Okay,
does
amazing.
the collector know that I need to dispose of my waste?
All right, so let me just take you to a very simplified user journey because I think in simple terms that's what you're asking for. So because we have different user class or user persona, all right, it then means that I will use somebody like you or even let me say maybe mommy Tokwe that is outside selling provisions or selling biscuit or something, right? So somebody like yourself, let me start with you. You are very learned, and you could basically use WhatsApp, and then over WhatsApp, we have a contact. So basically, you're not speaking to a human being when you chat with that. It's a bot. I will just just some computer codes you're talking to over speaking to Meta's API. So over that system, you are able to make a pickup request, right? So once the system basically asks you what do you want to dispose and just guide you through. For example, if you're divorcing pets, it asks you that okay, what's the approximate number of pets you have? Because if you have 10 units, it doesn't yet make sense for somebody to come down or you also take it down there because the value will be close to nothing, right? So it will tell you, okay, do you
So,
have
so
up
are you
to
saying
maybe
you
10?
advertise on WhatsApp? So are you saying
No,
you
no,
advertise on WhatsApp? How do
no,
people
we
know
don't.
about your service?
Okay, so we advertise on Facebook. We have, run local campaigns, on radio and the likes. I'm just trying to explain how so for example, you've known about it, right? Maybe you saw it on Facebook, you saw it, on Google, so we use several mechanisms, both, internet or, very local, advertisement. So we do all of that. I'm just saying that you've
Okay,
known about it.
because
And then, yeah, go ahead, please.
okay, no, sorry. Let me pause and explain. Give a background to my question. So what I'm trying to
Okay.
say is you're building something that scales. So I just wanted to understand how you get the producers of the waste for the start, and then the interaction between the collector and the person that is disposing of their waste. So maybe I don't know if that gives a clearer picture of what I'm trying to find out.
That's a clearer picture. Okay, I'll explain that then before going to maybe a
Okay.
simplified user journey. So for somebody like yourself, basically places that we let you know about what we do. One is through Facebook ad, over Instagram, over Facebook, over those platforms, right? Same thing with Google Ads. So when you watch YouTube, when you go onto a specific website, you see it. For localized area, we use radio, sometimes they are they call it LCDA campaigns, right, within localized areas, right? So we have ground marketers that basically let people know. And also maybe I'll be going ahead of myself here, but let me say it because think of um an OP agent, right? An open agent is somebody who is within that community, who's within that street that people know, right? So imagine, with those are people that we call our agents. That person has a banner now because they are working within that. So imagine an OP agent with on your streets. You already know that this is what this person does because the person. So we call them OP, for example, mobile money for recycling, right? These are the people that we call our agent. So that person also does his own localized campaign in their church, in their street. So people know that okay, this person, if you bring your plastic to the person, if you bring a carton to this person is going to pay you. So because it's your business, so we're just giving them a digital infrastructure for them to do this effectively, right? In fact, we like saying that as of today, over 70% of people that are currently our agents know nothing about recycling, close to nothing about recycling before they get in contact with scrappers. Because what we're basically doing is to give them a tool to start up their own recycling business. Think of some 9, 10 years ago, before the advent of mobile money, that you have to go into the four walls of a banking or before you get any financial service, right? But with the advent of the mobile money model, initiated by Paga in West Africa, Nigeria, in East Africa by M-Pesa, by Safricom, right? So with the advent of that model, individuals are now offering some sort of mini banking services, like they are running their own bank, right? Basically servicing you, right? So the advent of a system like Scrap Pays model, individuals are now also able to offer some sort of mini recyclable collection service. So they are running their business, right? So within the streets and all of that, people also know about them. So yeah, that's a localized market because they are interested in doing it because it's a game of volume. The more volume of recycling is able to get, the more they also make of the system, right? So they are
Is
doing
it
that on a
regulated?
you say what?
Is it regulated? Are the prices regulated? Can they charge anything, or they are benchmarked to a
Yeah.
certain price?
Okay. You are really going a bit. I think let me explain this, and then I will come back to that question, so that when I'm explaining the user journey, I think that will be clear, so that it's a bit systemic, so that the audience can grasp thing properly. All right. So let me then walk back to the user journey, and then I will explain your question about pricing. All right,
Okay.
because basically that's what you're asking of. Okay. So let's assume that you have some plastics, or you have some carton in your house, or maybe you have a refrigerator that is bad, or an AC that stopped working, and then you want to dispose of it, right? What you need to do is to go on WhatsApp. We have our bot number +234. Okay, maybe I can. If you go on Scrappy is on it, but I can also give you the bot number. If you chat that number, you'll get a bot response to you. If your first time, they'll tell you to register, basically with your first name and last name, and then you're registered, right? So the next time you go on that platform, you will see an option for you to make a request for pickup of your waste. So once you chat it, you put your location over WhatsApp, right? Or you can input your address using Google API sync also with it. We can know where you are, right? And then the system connects you to the closest agents, right? If the agent is not picking up your requests, we will also see that okay, yeah, we have this agent that is just maybe 2 streets away from you, but currently for some reason the person is not picking up your request, but you can contact the person to take it down to them. So we allow that to be very fluid. The agents can either come to you or you take it down to them, right? So immediately you get to the agent uses a combination of our mobile app and our smart scale, right? So before I go ahead, the mom and shop, let's say Yatokbe, that is on your street that sells maybe biscuit provisions, like the person might not maybe have data on their phone, even though maybe they have a small Android phone, they can easily use our USSD code, right? *347 *477#. That's our USSD code, and on that USSD code also they can make pickup requests, just like they're interacting with bank USSD code, like *3737 of GT Bank and all of that, right? They can also make a pickup request from there. All right. All right. So let me go further on
Yeah.
that user journey. So you take the item to the agent, or the agent comes down to you using a combination of our agent app. It's called Scrappy's Agents. If you search on Google Play Store, you'll see it's just like Scrappy's Agents. You see the app there, right? And then a combination of that and our smart scale. So our smart scale basically uses a combination of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to allow the agents scale the item. So it works wirelessly with the mobile app. So once they get to your place, let's say you are giving them, cartons, just say maybe Yatokwe just who sells biscuits, gives them, a bunch of cartons, right? What they basically do is to put it on the scale, launch the app, and then once they select carton on the system sends the kilograms of the item to the mobile device directly, and they can say, okay, this is a 20-kilogram carton. So we have what we refer to as recommended price, right? So immediately when they see, okay, currently carton is recommended to be purchased at, let's say, 100 naira per kg, right? But they have an option, to um, reduce it, so they can say, okay, I'm buying. As they are reducing it, they'll be saying that okay, this price is going way low, and the person giving you the waste might be disinterested, or might be might not want to give you, right? And they can also increase it. Let's say this person is giving them, because it's just business. Somebody who's giving you, maybe Yatokwe is a big woman, she has a big store, and she's giving the person about maybe 600 kg of carton. This person has a bit of way more bargaining power at that point in time, because it's giving you volume. So Yatope might be saying that okay, this is 120, I want to sell this thing, or to also entice Yatope to be bringing it to them, they can decide to offer, instead of going beyond our 100 naira recommended price, to say, okay, I want to buy it for, let's say, 130 from Yatope, just saying, for example, right? But what we've done within the system is there's a cap for what the highest you can buy. So let's say the cap, okay, the highest you can buy is maybe a 140. and the lowest you can buy maybe is a maybe 75 naira, right? What we are doing so is that so that the person who owns the waste does not say that this thing does not give me any value because and then they don't come the next time, and also to ensure that the agent is not also too overzealous for you to not buy an item way more than your own selling price, and then you have some sort of tangible margin to leave. And so that's the importance of a system, because most times these local people, they sometimes even buy items at loss, because sometimes also the price, let's just think of the price of gold, metal and the likes, that fluctuate and the likes. It's based on interaction between market forces, both local and international market forces. Sometimes the price of metal, scrap metal, could go up, could go down, the likes. And these are small business person. Sometimes the shock of that price fluctuation could also eat their business too much, right? So what we do also with them is to help them lock their price. So the system knows that you purchase this item at this price. So even the price goes down, you are already covered, right? So once they, just to go back to what I was saying, once they, say with Yatokwe, for example, as my example in this case, he bought the carton for say 130 from. Once he closes the transaction, he can either pay Yatokwe physical cash. So pays Yatokwe for the 500 kg that he collects from Yatokwe, or he pays Yatokwe into the Scrappers wallet. So with us, the Scrappers wallet is basically your phone number. So once I have your phone number now, we can pay you. All right. So once they pay Yatokwe directly on the USSD or the WhatsApp, Yatokwe can then decide to see pay, to transfer the money to bank, buy airtime, or do whatever you want to do directly on our WhatsApp or our USS system. You can easily do those things, right? So Yatope at this point in time has the money in her wallet or physical cash, and from the wallet, Yatope, we have people that use the system for saving. We have people that sells to visualize that it's at the end of the year they use that to do some stuff, just as a saving system and all of that, because they are making money off the system, right? So at that point in time, the journey for Yatope is over. She has sold the item, she has gotten her cash, right? The next thing is for the agent who is collecting from several Yatokbes, right? And several Burmese, right? She keeps on collecting, right? And over the system, they can see the inventory of what they have in store per time. So they can manually make a request. We call it an off-take request. Come and take this thing off me. Or the system basically, when we're coming, system automatically generate a route. So let's say within eight, we have, let's say, 7 agents within the cage. The system the agent rather can basically make a request to say, okay, come pick this thing off me, right? And then they come at the point of pickup. The inventory of the agent is validated, and also that means that immediately this pickup is done, they get their capital, which they are already seeing on the app also. And that's the good thing about this. So they are not working based on guess at this point in time. For every item they purchase, they know that, okay, I've expended 100,000 as capital. I'm expecting a 160,000 as my total payment, which means I have a margin or a net margin of about 60,000. So they are not working with guests. They know what they have. They have a very high level, view of how their business performance is. They know that, okay, this is my margin and all of that. And immediately the offtake event happens, they get both their capital and also their margin, paid into their wallet also on the app. And from the app, they can transfer to people, buy airtime and do whatever they want to do, because the wallet is basically ubiquitous because we built it internally, right? So that means that the agents who maybe some 2 months ago know nothing about recycling literally is now running his or her own business, collecting across a wide range of material types, right? And the minute they are paid, that transaction is consummated with them. The next flow is then taking that item further to the processors and also the manufacturing partner. So you can see how here the flow looks like.
You're creating something phenomenal. You're solving the problem of waste, but also providing small businesses a means of making more money. So, how easy is it to become an
Yeah.
agent, and what's your vetting process like?
Okay, so I tell people, in fact, with our V2, we launched our V2 a few months ago. You can actually get started in 6 hours, less than 6 hours actually. Because immediately you download the app, the system, because we're also required by the regulations, because we run a wallet system in partnership with our partner local bank, right? To ensure that you put, once you are done registering your name, basically where you're registering from, you're required to put in your NIN, and just basic onboarding process, right? And then you can either we have the next thing, of course, which I know you'll be asking is how does this person know how to do this? Because it needs to be some sort of information or training, right? So within the app, you can take our in-app training, right? Basically, there are about three modules that tells you about how the app works, how you can the material types you can collect, how things work, and also let you know how you can also let people around you know that you are now running a recycling business, right? Or you join our virtual meetings, which happens weekly, right? Just to have maybe a bit of more sense of physical touch with an human being, right? Right, and also at several intervals, we also run physical training that will let you know. So you have seen that on the app directly, and you can select the one that best suits you, right? So, for example, now we have people that in less than 6 hours they are done with their onboarding because the onboarding is super simple. In less than 5 minutes, you can fill, put your NIN, and all of that. You're good. You're done. Right. The next thing is to watch the model, right, which is a three model information course, which basically covers the usage of the app, how the IoT scale work, all of that, how you can collect material to let people know. That's basically what it covers, right? And then you're good to go instead of waiting for maybe a scheduled virtual call or a physical meeting, so you can start. And even without you having the skill, you can actually also start collecting. So I have a system called mini agents because they are yet to have the scale, which means that you can start. We already know that an average of X unit of PET bottles is equal to X kilograms, right? So basically, even without the scale, or average of X unit of aluminium cans equals to X kilogram. An average of X unit of regular size carton equals to X kilogram. So even before the scale gets to you, people start collecting, right? And it gets started. So that's the impact of technology. It can simplify things that seems very complex most times. For example, within the local market, you will see some person that it is liner they are focused on, it is carton they are focused on, and the likes, because you need to understand the value chain. Where is this thing is going after I've collected it, all of those back and forth. But you are not stressed. You can collect across very diverse range of material because you just need to collect. At the point of the offtake, it just goes to where you ought to go without you disturbing your head. So it makes it as simple as possible. Before you start business like this, you need to go and do some sort of apprenticeship with somebody already doing it. Need to but really with the advance of infrastructures like Scrap is, there also needs to be in your house. You have a space, right? That's the key thing where you can keep these things, properly, right? Such that because you're buying with money, you collect scrap metal and you put it outside, they are going to steal it, right? So things like that. So once you have a space that you can properly keep stuff, you have an Android device, you are good to go.
Okay. So I read you are not a solo founder, are you?
No, no, no. I'm not a solo founder. I have my co-founder, my friend, yeah, from uni that I spoke about earlier.
Okay. So is one of your co-founders a technology person, or did you have to hire someone
I'm,
outside of your company to develop the
I,
technology, or it was
yeah,
you?
I'm a technology person. Yeah, I'm a technology person, so I'm a product manager, right? As I
Okay.
said, from school, I've been a combination of geoscience and tech, right? Basically, that's what I've done. Yeah, but definitely we have an engineering team, right? I head the product part. We also have a lead, engineer also. Yeah.
Let me let you into something. So when I was preparing for this interview, I googled you. I found one of your YouTube videos, which was quite different from how you are now. As in, I think it was a video for an application or something. You were not talking as fluently and conversationally as you are now. But I see that
Oh,
it's you have the capability of storytelling, which is very good, especially if you're trying to raise funding. So is it over time, as a result of telling your story over and over again, that you became this good in storytelling, or you had to do something deliberate to become this good in expressing the mission of the company?
okay. I would say it's a fusion of the two. One I put one before the other. One is you have to be deliberate, right? Take some personal courses, really listen to yourself talking, because as a founder you do a lot of talking. You must be able to sell the vision. You are raising funds, you're engaging partners, right? So you must be confident in what you are saying. And most times it's not that sometimes it's about the message, right, that you're trying to communicate. Your voice inflections, how you position your storytelling, how you engage also and carry along the audience, right? So those are things that you need to learn from books, from YouTube videos, from courses over Udemy, Coursera. Very simple things. So I think that is very. But over time also, because you've done this, you've watched your video, say okay, and then progressively as you practice, I can't take the number of pitching that I've done. I don't think I can even count it. Right. So you've done this, over time, right? And as a result of you have a background that is on from learnings from things you are watching, what you're doing. Also, okay, I don't think this was done right. How can I do this better and the likes? And with time, I say that some of these things you don't even know until people tell you. You are just on your own journey and doing your thing, and progressively, those refinements, infusing and diffusing into what you're doing.
That's really cool. So, um, how have you been able to finance this? Because you're building something huge, and I know that it cannot be cheap. So, how have you raised money? Through equity, through debt, self-funded?
Okay. Yeah, so I tell people, right, financing at different stages, the ball game is different. And at the initial stage, when I was speaking earlier on about us, giving out our finance, that was when I was working and I was saving. Myself and my partners were saving, close to about 40, 45% of what we're earning then. Because you cannot say you believe in something and you're trying to push something and your own sweat, and you can't even, because there needs to be some sort of action, sort of initial traction before you can invite other people to it, right? So I like saying, yeah, it's important, right, to at least have something, right, to start with in the initial market testing. In fact, the start of our initial product was, basically from our savings, right? The next thing is then what refers to as, family, friends, round, family and friends round. Sometimes, let me add to it, they will say it's called FFF. Although I don't like saying the last one, they say family and friends and fools, right? So, so I don't like putting that, because why they say fools, just to put some extracurricular context to this, is some of them, these people are just giving you the funds for, okay, I know Bolu, right, and they're just trying to support you, right, even when they know that they know that, okay, this is just really young and sometimes it might not work out, and we need more of such funds within the African ecosystem. The African ecosystem, unlike the other climes, are not yet matured in terms of capital circulation, right? So it might be a bit, it's a bit tougher, not might be a bit tougher, right? It's obviously a bit tougher within the African, ecosystem. So, but let me move away from the diversion, all right? So the next stage is, friends and family, that, okay, this is what we're doing, these are planned, these are pitch deck, and this is what we've done. This is the next thing what we want to do, right? So remember, we raised from friends and family, from and then a bit of the next step after that round are angel round, right? I don't know if I'm saying something too complex, just call me back, all right? I'm trying to break it down as possible. So angel round are people that are a bit of outside of your family and friends. These are individuals who are trying to invest in in technology companies or businesses, right? Trying to say, okay, yeah, this is what you've done. You have your MVP. MVP is minimum viable product, right? Okay, you have some sort of traction, not necessarily revenue, but maybe user base, maybe interest from your off-takers, and what have you, right? And so such persons, can then maybe a $10,000 check, 20,000, 50. There are several angels are different ranges, right? And that's a part that we've raised from. But there are other, it's beginning to become much more popular now, and there are more of them, which we still need more of them to ensure that. Because I believe that businesses are what accelerate and catalyze an economy, right? So we need more of them to be able to support founders and entrepreneurs. So the next which advice, right, from the name incubation, they're trying to incubate you. So some you can even go there at just idea level, right? to basically not all of them will be able to give you some sort of maybe minute capital. Some of them might just be connect you, open you up, expand your horizon, refine your model, right? And a lot of those background, structures help you with your executive summary, your deck, reviewing your model, your financial projections, and all of those, basic rudiments, right? But some of them, which I'm also an advocate for, no matter how small, let there be some sort of support capital, right? Just to, because sometimes because it's a reality within the African ecosystem that most people don't have that rich auntie, rich uncle, which I also don't have. That will be able to say, I take this X amount just to kick something out, right? Yeah, and I could very well I still stay a story. I appreciate the likes of Orange Corners, Skip, and the likes. I also help us, you know, very at very very early stages, right? And beyond acceleration, incubation is what we refer to as acceleration. From what that means is accelerating what you've done, right? And what has been already incubated. So at that stage, what you're interested in is how you're growing, how you're scaling, how you are refining features within your MVP and all of that, right? So we've been accelerated by a couple of local and international support like Google, Black Panther Funds, startup wise guys from Europe and the likes, right? At that point in time. And then beyond that stage now is when you are now fitting into pre-seed stage. Like so pre-seed stage that you are now talking to early stage investors, right? Who invest in pre-seed companies like angels also joined the round, right? And beyond pre-seed is seed stage, right? Whereby you have proper, venture capitals, come into the equation and try to support you and raising for a round, right? And within that stage, I also like advising your pre-seed and seed stage. Try as much as possible to use instrument like save and keys, which avoid gives you less problems to founders in the sense that you don't need to over hang on valuation, right? Because at that point in time, the scope of how great that how heavy that solution can scale is not yet there, right? Because at that stage it's still early formative stage, so there are no effective yardsticks to give value to that business, right? So at that point in time, instrument like Save, which was a proponent of Y Combinator or Keys, which was I think by Startup 500, right? Are simple tools, that could be used at that stage because each tools like discounted cash flow and all of that effectively at the early stage, cannot give the context to evaluation of a company that's pre-seed or seed stage, right? So beyond seed stage, you will be hearing of Series A extension, Series B, Series C, and at that point in time, very late stage VCs and private, equity firms, comes in, to fund, businesses and organizations. I hope I didn't speak too much of jargon. I tried as much as possible to break it down to the best of my ability for now.
No, it's been very educative, actually. I'm sure that the people listening would be applauding you for all the information, free information that you're giving. So it's laudable. But we're not through. I still have some more questions, though, if you don't mind.
Sure, sure. Okay, so no, definitely. You can go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. So in this whole process that you have explained, what do you think, in your opinion, was the key factor that made you successful, either in applying to an incubator or an accelerator, or even getting investors on board?
Okay, so I like saying this. I think, and it's one of the most important ingredients, is that you must be resilient, right? Really, every other thing sits on it. For me, it's also a basic life principle. You must be very resilient because you are going to face challenges. If you're building anything of value that actually is has impact or has some sort of transcends just you, you'll definitely face some frictions, right? And like saying that is what I put forward. You must be. I tell people at the very early stages to even get into maybe an acceleration or an incubation program. To get into one, you might need to apply to 20. You get so many no's. In fact, at this stage, I've gotten so much no that no is just okay. Review what you've done, and because but some person I've seen a younger, a younger friend or a colleague, say I applied to this that you sent to me and they didn't go ahead. I said, but I've forwarded another one to you. Go ahead and apply to it, right? Just don't stand. Keep on reviewing what you're doing. Keep on pushing. Just make sure you are doing something. Refining your traction, and ensure that it grows and it likes. Right? And for me, every other thing builds on that, because if you are not resilient, you get to know you are crying or you just feel dejected, and that's all right. I tell you, anybody that says, well, congratulate us, we thank we're happy that we got into this program. Behind the scene, that person most likely have applied to 15 before he gets that one. The best of us. Don't let anybody fool you, right? And that's the truth, right? What you just see is somebody announce something on LinkedIn or whatever medium they used to have. But before they did the announcement, there are so many background works that you don't know, and just say, this person did this, got it, and me, I'm not getting it, and you're down, right? So I like just seeing it as a corporate speech, just a company, not beyond business, it's about life, right? That you are resilient, right? You're doubling in on things, and the rest follows. Other principle follows on that for me.
Okay. And would you say you are profitable now? Or and is your motivation even profit?
I know your motivation. So I like to balance this, right? Because you've heard people that say, yeah, it's not about money and all of that, right? I think there needs to be a balance of the dose, and I'll explain what I mean. Um, your motivation should not be primarily profit, but what you're doing also should be able to keep you comfortable enough to be able to, because you must be in a sound state of mind and body to be able to even think, innovate. And that's why I said I'm a very personal advocate of incubation program, also keeping sort of support to the people trying to build business. Because at that point in time, it's really hard, right? You are building something. The life of a founder, sometimes I saw a media online, I can't remember, it's like a roller coaster. Today you are very excited, you're happy. The next time they say this one is not working, or the assumption you are making is not hitting the right numbers and likes, right? So it can be a very, very, very funny journey. Let me use that word. So it's a bit light, right? So it's very much important that at least this person, their basic needs. Yeah, you won't leave the luxury of the luxury, right? When people see founders and say you've raised funds, that money is not for you. You already are targeting, how many um runway that thing is going to put you through and the likes. And yeah, they can greet congratulations, but you know that literally this is not for me, right? And it's to help us achieve these milestones. And these are the things that we need to get. These are the new hires we need to hire to ensure that we can, scale and grow into this new market or into this new product line, or capture this particular revenue, vertical, right? So it's basically along that journey. The most important thing at the early stage, and I say it often, you might not, especially for startup. So the difference between a normal business and startups is this code scale. Spotify and Sons basically operates shops between Lagos and Ikeja axis, and that's fine, right? The difference when we're talking about venture backable business is the scale at which they can grow, right? And double, double. People like Reeve Altman of LinkedIn most likely will tell you that is the scalability of a technology business. That's why you define them as a startup. So at the very early stage, the focus of a startup most likely is not profitability, or rather is that your unit economics make sense. And we've seen some startup blow that law, which means that because you have access to venture fund, does not mean that because it's business. Business at the basics is that your selling price must be higher than your cost price. Right? At the basic of all, your unique economics must be positive, right? Then, because at the rate at which you are scaling, or the type of infrastructure you are building, at that particular stage, you might not. be profitable yet, because you are really doing heavy investment. As of that time, you are acquiring user, you are growing, and all of that, and that is fine. That's the startup, mechanism, right? Unlike Boluwatife and Son cannot do such, because you are not using that's why it's called a venture fund, right? You're trying to scale something, you're trying to capture the market and the likes. And to be frank, not every business is venture backable, depending on your model, the size of the market. These are all of things that venture capitalists are going to grill you on, to say, okay, what's the LT, the lifetime value of your customer, what's your CPA. I want to avoid all of those, technical notes, right? But the background, the basics of it all is that a startup, most likely at the very least. For example, Facebook wasn't profitable till after, not even profitable, sorry, they weren't making any revenue till after 7 years. Like, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. They
I
weren't,
do.
it's not
I
that
do.
they weren't profitable, even because, yeah, they weren't making
They might
any
have been
revenue.
plowing
But
back their profits into the business.
no, this is even different. That's why I'm saying that it's a bit different now. Being profitable is different from making revenue. So which means they weren't
Yep.
even making money, but the goal, what they are building is a social network. They know that social network needs to get to a level of what the first virality in terms of numbers before you can then start building on the type of model they work on, advertisements, data selling, and all of that. Right. So if venture capitalists understand, so it's a patient capital, right? Understand that, okay, this particular solution must get to this level of user growth in terms, and also virality, before we can then layer things on it. Right, the same thing. And it's, look at Amazon, look at Uber, what have you. Right, I'm just trying to really buttress, because I don't know who will be listening. Right, um for a startup at the very early stage, to be frank, is most likely, they are, competing school of thought, but it's growth. But definitely, on the altar of growth, you cannot forfeit your basic unit economics. That's the basic of all business. Your unit economics must be positive.
Okay, and maybe I should round up and ask. So, in hindsight, what are some of the mistakes that you made or you see people making now that you've come into some level of success?
So, personal mistakes, right? I think was, sometimes I'm a product person, right? And I love technology. So sometimes I'm fixated about building this massive, nice, sleek, maybe UI, or this technology, which my target user, the user persona, the user class I'm attending to, most likely will not even use, or is not. So there's a difference between U and UX. That is, you must prioritize UX over UI, right? To then say, okay,
Yeah.
the Boki, or the not secondary school level educated person that most likely will be handling this, is this useful to them? Can they easily understand it? Right? Or is just me building an amazing, solution with ML, AI, and the likes, and I'm speaking my jargon within my cubicle, and I'll say, oh, wow, amazing, right? So, I think because I'm a technology person, early stages, I fell into that box to say, but really, most important is sit down with that class of user, get into their head, understand their pain points, and build solution that literally would solve their problem, not over build something that they don't even know what it means or how to use it, right? So it's the user first, and then tie that to their UX, right? I think it's something that I fell into that box, and also I seen people. It's not really. And the next thing, building on that, is technology is an enabler, right? So it's not really first about the technology, but actually about what's the problem. Can you think about, because for example, we made our first revenue even without a tech product, right? Right, because you're solving a problem, understand that unique value chain. Once it can be solved, technology is then built, to scale and ensure that we can then attend to so many bumi, right? Without having, so what that means is that your as you are acquiring more user, what technology does is that your marginal costs, is not increasing,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like Facebook. Facebook has built an app, WhatsApp. They are not building what every WhatsApp for Bolu, Bumi, Tola, and the likes, right? It's just leveraging. So the same app can be used by thousands and millions of users. What just needs to, so as they are growing their user base, their marginal cost is now also increasing alongside, right? And those are the specialization and the advantages of infrastructures, technology infrastructures, basically.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Yes, for us is that we are properly across Nigeria and also in about 10 sub-Saharan African country and along our journey map also in Southeast Asia and also in Latin America, because those regions I just mentioned
Wow.
face literally typical problems that we currently face.
That's fantastic. And it has been a great pleasure and honor speaking with you. I myself have learned so much, and I don't think I have exhausted all the information I could have gotten from you, but I'm conscious of your time as well. So I'll ask ahead of time that I would like to interview you again. Maybe no, we're not up to 5 years, but sometime in the near future to discuss again and to keep abreast on your progress. You know. Thank you so much.
Sure.